Hey, and welcome back to another devlog for my Untitled Cute Space game. In this video, I'm going to give an update on my progress, how I'm thinking about the design for the game, the scope, and the kind of path forward for 2021. In my last video, I kind of shared that I was stuck. I've now gotten unstuck, and I'm excited to share how I've done that. So let's get started. All right, so welcome back. We're now at the beginning of 2021. What a time to be alive. I have basically just kind of gotten back to actual work on my Untitled Cute Space game. I did a little bit of work over the holiday, and I'm now kind of unstuck and moving forward, and I want to share how I did that. So a big part of the problem that I was having was that I was trying to compress the scope down to something that, frankly, I just didn't really want to make. I was trying to discover through a process of kind of evaluating the game design, was there a way for me to make something significantly smaller that I still wanted to make, that I was still excited about? And as you saw on the channel, if you've been watching, I was looking at going in a kind of a clicker, idle, incremental, kind of cookie clicker-like direction, and explored some frameworks and looked at that. And I kind of just reached a point with that where I just felt like, nope, I don't want to do this. It doesn't capture the intent of the original idea. I was trying to kind of shoehorn this concept into that concept, really just for the purposes of making it smaller and kind of not canceling the design. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, you know what? I don't like this idea. I'm going to cancel the whole thing, which may still happen, right? This is something actually, one of the things that I was really struggling with was like, I've been making these devlogs about this game. Now I'm going to have to cancel it and give up. And I was talking to some friends about that. I think that still may happen, right? I want to put that in the air, right? This is an experiment. It's still really in a prototype stage. I haven't invested that much time in it. I've been basically working on it part-time while I've been doing the work of running our technical marketing agency, Thousand Ant, right? That's my main job, and working on this game is a kind of a part-time thing. I had to basically pause actively working on the game because the fourth quarter of the year, as it kind of always does, gets really busy as all the projects are trying to finish for the year, and I was working on client work and didn't have a lot of time to dedicate to the game. But what it did kind of give me a break to do was to zoom out, look at the design and the concept, and think about how I could move forward, cancel, pivot. Like I was saying, I spoke to some friends and I kind of got to the point where I was ready to give up on it. I don't like the kind of corner that I've painted myself into with the concept, and I'm ready to give up. Through those conversations and also talking with my brother Tom at Thousand Ant, one of the things about not being able to work on the game, we were working hard for our clients and we made some money last year. And he kind of said to me, he's like, we made some money. If the problem is that this game needs to grow in scope or be canceled, we should invest some of the money that we made on our client work into allowing the scope to grow a little bit, putting a little bit of a team together to work on it, a small team, right? And investing some of the money that we made on our client work into moving the game forward with a larger scope, right? And that was really what I needed. That was the block that I had run into. I kind of realized, okay, doing this kind of part-time by myself, I cannot make an Animal Crossing-like game, right? Even a micro Animal Crossing-like game, right? I think the team for Animal Crossing is like 60 people or something. Obviously, they're not really comparable, but I need some help if I'm going to make this next level of scope. I can't do it by myself part-time, and the decision to say, hey, let's actually invest some of what we earned into this and do it as a kind of a case study for our work at Thousand Ant, because what we do at Thousand Ant, and I kind of realized this is one of my New Year's resolutions, is to talk more about what we do on the agency side on this channel, because I kind of weirdly don't that much. What we do is make demos and tutorial videos, usually that have a little bit of a demo content, basically around Unity and the Unity ecosystem and the game development ecosystem. Our work is kind of game development adjacent, right? It's like almost like game development, although we're not actually shipping commercial games, right? But investing some money in doing this, making something great, and doing all the videos and all the marketing around it, which is what we're doing here, right, is very much like what we do at 1000 Amp for our clients. And so this is a kind of a chance to invest some money to build a case study for ourselves and say, hey, look, this is what we do. If we're not working for a client and just making our own thing, this is what we make, and this is what it looks like, and this is what the videos look like. And so use that as a kind of a case study for our clients. And that was the kind of justification that we came up with for, hey, okay, let's put some money into this. It'll kind of work alongside the work that we do at the agency. It allowed me to grow the scope of the game. And this maybe is interesting to people. I know there's a lot of indie devs out there who do this ping pong back and forth, right, of doing contract and development work, either on games or other development work, right, that they then use to fund their indie projects. And that's basically what we're doing here, right, is we're doing work for our clients, and then we're taking a piece of that, taking a piece of the profits, and we've decided to reinvest it into this project. So that allowed the scope to grow. And so now I'm kind of back at something that is more like the original idea, in that there's going to be multiple kind of systemic areas that the player can interact with. So there's going to be a kind of a mining feature, mining resources. There's going to be almost like a dungeon exploring without combat, a little bit like the mining in Stardew Valley, although that has combat. This won't have combat. That'll be procedurally generated. A farming, plant growing system, and then a kind of a cooking food system that's going to interact with that farming system, and then a social interacting with NPC character system that will be a little bit analogous to some of the systems that you see in games like Road Less Taken, where you can give gifts to the villagers, or even also in Stardew Valley, right, where you can give gifts to the villagers, build relationships with them, right? So a bunch more systems, right? And this was what I was really struggling with, was that I wanted to put all these systems in, but there was no way that I could express those in the small scope that I was trying to do. Now that I've said, okay, we're going to grow the scope a little bit and add this bunch of systems, it also makes the design more systematic, more dynamic in terms of mechanics, in my opinion. That's kind of what I'm interested in, right? I don't want to make a game that's so simple that I'm not interested in it. And that was kind of how I got stuck, right? As I was thinking, I need to make this smaller, but then I lost that richness in the design, and then I'm not excited about it, and I don't want to make it, right? And I think that's an interesting dynamic to explore for indie devs. You know, a lot of the time, the advice people give, and I think this is most appropriate for people who are just learning and starting out, the advice is, hey, make something small, make something small, make something small. The problem that I have with that is that for me, it's hard to get excited about something small. And maybe that's just the way, maybe that's just the kind of game that I like, or maybe that's the way that I try to think about design, game design. I don't get excited about these really small, really minimalistic ideas. And so then it's hard to get motivated about making them. I really tried to turn this into a clicker game and shrink it down and simplify it and kind of abstract it. And I just hit a point where I'm like, I don't want to make that, you know? So this may be a terrible idea. This may be me just driving myself off a cliff, right, and setting a bunch of money on fire. Pretty likely, to be honest. And, you know, that's a risk that I'm willing to take. But that's where we got to. So that's the update here. You know, it's more of a big picture update, right? It's not really a mechanic or I added this feature type update. It's more about rethinking the design, rethinking the scope and the plan. I will make a couple more videos talking about actually some more details, but this is the kind of pivot and the decision and the thinking. So I wanted to share that first, and then I'll talk about actually some of the work that I've been doing in Unity and some of the other work that I've been thinking about. So let me know down in the comments if you have faced this kind of a crossroads, you know, or had to make these kind of decisions, and how you've dealt with them and how you've thought about them. I'm pretty interested in this, obviously, because I'm going through it right now. Drop a like on the video if you find it interesting and you enjoy it. And of course, subscribe so you can be notified when new videos come out. Turn on notifications if you want to actually be notified. And yeah, I just appreciate your spending a little bit of time with me. Hopefully this was interesting. Let me know if it was. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.